And one thing that I watched recently, I'm gonna send you some of his stuff afterwards. Jonathan Pageau. He talks about the symbolic world. He's an iconographer. He's of the Orthodox Christian tradition, but he's symbolic world, basically how symbolism happens, and through propaganda, through experiences, through nature, and it shows how it manifests itself in the nature of our reality, just naturally. You know what I mean? And he does an episode on the repression. He does an episode about feminism and just modern day feminism is simply just kind of like an eradication of the genuine feminine. You know what I mean? It's an erasing of the divine feminine itself. Talks about how in propaganda nowadays, movies and this, you'll see women, and this is how, you know, Rosie the Riveter, you know what I mean? They're women that are tough. They're women that are taking on the attributes of genuine masculinity, as opposed where they're just like a kick ass like chick that can beat up everybody and you didn't know they can do, you know what I mean? Stuff like this. Taking on masculine traits in and disposing of the divine feminine traits. And he talks about how, as opposed, like there'll be a woman that'll, you know, she beats everybody up. She's not a damsel in distress. She doesn't, and stuff like this. And they're forming that, as opposed to a person like, I forgot the lady's name, but the woman he used her as an example, the woman from Lord of the Rings, the original Lord of the Rings, how she has a natural, she is a representation of the divine feminine, which kind of gets even those types of terms, divine feminine and masculine, get warped now. We don't have a genuine understanding of what it means, you know what I mean, for the most part. But she's a good representation of the divine feminine, meaning she's graceful, she's beauty, you know what I mean, she's caring, she's nurturing, you know what I mean. But at the time, she has the ability to switch and then turn on this ability to make you self-conscious, you know what I mean, with a simple, you know what I mean. Woman is, they're caring, they are nurturing, they are beauty, they are grace, you know what I mean. But they also have the ability to they're intuitive, and they have the ability, they have the ability to kind of make you straighten up or straighten out your act or get better simply by making you self-conscious, with a glare, with a look, with a quick word, you know what I mean. And that's being started with for this new divine feminine, which is basically just a repackaging of masculine traits in women, you know what I mean. So
see, you said it. You said most people don't have an understanding of the divine feminine and what that actually means. And it's not about, you can't just claim to be a goddess in a god. That's not how it works. A quote that I have, and this quote is going to be just going to be going. The infatuation of the crown blinds you to the responsibility of the throne.
you're talking it.
Yes, and I see that a lot. There's nothing wrong with addressing my fellow brother as king or my fellow sister as queen, but what I tend to notice is that most people forget the responsibility of what comes along with that. A woman that's in her natural feminine state or her divine feminine state, she doesn't need to shift into the masculine because that's not her natural role. She enjoys being in what the creator made her to be naturally, and she does it well. I still see feminine women online today. I still see feminine women in society today, and I'm grateful to see that. I think that this third wave feminism has shifted women's perspectives when it comes to what being feminine means. You hear it's like, oh, it's slavery. Oh, who wants to be a housewife? Oh, like who says I have to just have kids and be nurtured? Who says I have to do all these things? And it's like I can understand the questioning, but at the same time, all of these things that you're asking about, and you're saying that you're independent, you don't need no man, ABC 1, 2, 3. At the end of the day, these same women who have adopted this ideology, they still ask the same question of, why don't I have a man? Where's my relationship? Or why can't I get married? And it goes back to what you were saying. Men naturally are attracted to feminine women, and it's free. You don't have to do anything. All you gotta do is be taught. And another thing too I realized too is that most of the women weren't taught how to be feminine because their mothers didn't teach them. And mothers are the first teacher of the family. If your mother wasn't feminine and she teaches you to go do the opposite of that, you're gonna be on the quest to find out what does feminine even look like in a
Yeah,
world that's telling you it's wrong.
right. Same thing with the men too. You know, men haven't been trained properly in how to be masculine. It has a lot
Yes.
to do with talking about this, especially in the Black community. Um, we have strong. You never heard the term "strong, independent white woman."
Precisely.
Don't say that. You never heard strong, independent Spanish woman. You've heard strong, independent Black woman.
Yes.
This is the fact that we've grown up in fatherless homes and they've seen their mothers work, do play both roles and provide and protect and nurture and care and play both roles. You know what I mean? And then they're growing up believing that that's kind of what it is. It's the lack of the nuclear family. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with men haven't been properly, not to play, one side. It's like men haven't been properly trained to be genuine masculine leaders and
Yes.
protectors.
Yes.
Kevin, like with just to talk about Kevin Samuels a bit, it's like when he used to lay in the dudes too. It's you know what I mean? He kind of started to talk about the women a lot more because he he was in the algorithm and he was getting them a lot more views. However, he was talking about men too. You know what I mean? Men have to take the time, myself included. That's the journey. I'm on the journey of becoming a proper, right, upstanding man. You know what I mean? Capable of protecting and providing, and understand what it means to protect and provide. Like we were talking, my masculine, the king. A king serves.
Yes.
A king serves. A dictator rules.
Yes.
A king. And that's where, and it all goes back to Jesus. Jesus is king. You know what I mean? Yeshua is king. And he is a servant. You know what I mean? He serves. You go down. They talk about this on Jonathan Pageau. You go down to become the lowly servant, and then you're exalted. You know what I mean? As the king, the people themselves will be exalted. Being a man is about being humble. It's about taking that time. It's about cultivating those attributes to become this individual, and that takes a level of humility and going down, and ultimately being able to be exalted, but with the purpose of helping, providing, and then spreading that to other people in your community and your family. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I think that we all have a lot to work to do, men and women, in that regards. The gender war has been crazy, and if people actually were truthful, and I don't blame a lot of people. If people knew what to look at, knew who to look to, and knew what was genuinely good information, then I think that people would follow it and listen to it and cultivate those attributes. But that's the long-term effect of too much information again.
Yes, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. It's we do live in a society where that information is literally at your hand, and most of society is used to getting information from social media, and it's not
I,
accurate because you don't know what's real from there. I do think that people can feel what's real. I think that people can feel what's authentic when someone is genuinely trying to get someone to see the error of their ways. That way they can shift or repent and go in the direction of where they need to go. Again, that takes courage. That takes confidence in knowing that hey man, I'm not doing what I need to be doing as a man right now, or I'm not walking how a woman should be walking right now. So I need to shift my perspective and go here. The first way that you fix a problem is by acknowledging that there is one. If you don't see a problem, then you will continue to repeat those patterns. And it gets frustrating because these same people who are in this endless cycle of what they're doing, they have children. And then now you're passing that down to them like that. And we tend to backpedal more. And I think we're in a phase within the Black community where that there's a lot of backpedaling more than there is progression. I think the conversation is being had, as you said earlier, it's being had all over the world, but implementation and getting out into the world and making it happen, being a role model, men and women, so that way people can see what it's like in the most authentic and efficient way. I think that's something that needs to be done more often as well.